talking tigers, spaceships, and magic swords that can make a man as...
If you're a fan of He-Man, then good news! We've got a whole world of He-Man in this video for you. Or should I say, worlds. In this video, we're gonna take a look at the brand new He-Man Masterverse. Let's get to it! He-Man lovers, what can be better than one He-Man? A whole lot of them! In 2023, a 4-issued miniseries Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, was released, and this comic book series is a treat and a half for He-Man fans. A scrawny, cowardly prince becoming the all-powerful He-Man is the perfect zero-to-hero journey, and made more meaningful because of his loyal friends. If you ever doubted if Adam was worth to be He-Man, you must read this series, as the Sorceress explains with various examples around the multiverse why Adam is the worthiest of them all. Written by Tim Seeley, the story introduces He-Mans from all across the Masterverse, and does so by a combination of unique art. I don't want to waste much of your time, so let's dive on in. Enter the Masterverse. The story begins in Eternia, the center of the current universe, and the center of all universes. It's just another day for Adam, who defeats Skeletor one more time. Evelyn asks her cronies to retreat, while Skeletor, on his knees, throws a tantrum about wanting Grayskull. Beastman talks some sense into him, and they make a hasty retreat. He-Man flexes his muscles, admiring his beefy bod and skills, and the Sorceress, Tila Na, tells him that the Castle Grayskull chose him to bear great power, and till now, he has proven to be a great choice. The Sorceress leaves to attend a guest, while He-Man shrinks back to the disappointing Prince Adam to attend to his duties. Adam isn't happy about playing the idiot prince, but he doesn't have much of a choice now, does he? The Sorceress's guest is Zodak, the Cosmic Enforcer, who doesn't think Adam is the right choice for the power of Grayskull, and is there to investigate the new shift in the balance of the universe without any bias. The Sorceress doesn't understand how Zodak still doesn't have any trust in the new champion despite knowing her for millennia. But Zodak doesn't deal with stuff like trust or faith. The Sorceress agrees that Adam's a new kind of He-Man, but if they know anything from the past, it's that Adam would rise to the occasion. As proof, the Sorceress offers to show Zodak Adam from different universes to prove her point that Adam is capable in every single universe. In the first Eternia we see, there is darkness all over. The sun used to visit the planet, but not anymore. A warlord who had arrived from another world cast a separation spell onto Eternia that cursed one half of the sphere with a forever night, with Pantos, the Black Moon, to be the only source of light. In the darkness, this part of Eternia fell into disrepair. The idol of Procrustes, the god who held Eternia together with his 4 arms, was forgotten, and the villages were plagued with shadow beasts. Most of the villagers fled to the other side of Eternia, looking for the sun, while the other side contained only those without a complete soul. This wretched village is where we see Adam, trudging along with a deep sadness. He had been sent on a routine visit to the border villages to offer arms and men for the struggle against Skeletor, who was trying to get his hands on Castle Grayskull. He was met with the court jester and magician Orko and his bodyguard, Royal Captain Tila, when Skeletor attacked with his cronies, Evelyn, Trapjaw, and Triclops. Despite knowing he would be seen as cowardly, Adam had to run away, and that is who we see on the streets. Adam's sadness is understandable, now that we know the events that led to his escape. He had not wanted to leave Tila alone to deal with the Lord of Destruction, but he knew that he was the real target, and hoped to distract him. Adam wanders into an abandoned mansion, not knowing that Skeletor has already called on his minions, who know how to fight in the dark. One of his minions is Webster, an assassin from the darkest depths of Eternia that resembles a hybrid of man and spider. He has 3 pairs of red eyes, and a mouth that spews out spiderweb on command. He attacks the unsuspecting Adam, and covers his head with a thick onslaught of webbing. Adam's quick on his feet, and pulls out the emergency flare. He sets the man-spider on fire, and leaves while he succumbs to a fiery death. Adam knows he wouldn't be able to contact Tila and Hurley's squadron without the flare, but he doesn't care as he feels guilty. He harbors a dark secret within himself, and hopes Tila would be spared of his sin, as her only fault was to trust him. In the basement of the mansion, where skeletons rest, a hand cracks open a coffin, and out comes Batros, drinker of life. The sudden appearance of the creature scares Adam, and he instinctively reaches for the sword of Grayskull, but he resists the temptation. He understands that the wraith was acting in a ravenous hunger, and like all creatures, it was probably stupid because of its appetite. So Adam runs into a fireplace, and the creature crashes its head atop the fireplace, as it was flying too fast to stop. Adam comes out of the mansion towards a graveyard, where he hears a childish song. The moment he hears the song, he knows who is singing it. Orko, who had snuck away from Tila and the guard to look for Adam first to make sure the secret they share is protected. The kind and noble Trollin wizard is unfortunately oblivious of the glowing skeleton following him. This glowing skeleton is Scareglow, a grim soul trapped between life and death. Adam takes one look at Orko and Scareglow behind him and remembers Tila's military training and insistence about the greater good. Making up his mind, he grabs the sword and says the magic words, "By the horror of Grayskull." Adam is immediately transformed into a giant nightmarish creature. The only remaining part of his original self is his long blonde locks. For the first time in years, Scareglow is the one terrified, and when He-Man opens his mouth, Scareglow is drawn into it. The only relief he has now is that he is no longer stuck between life and death, as the abyss he will now be a part of is worse. Adam lets the horror return and crashes onto his knees. Orko apologizes, as he was just trying to help. Adam explains that he had to save Orko, as he was trying to save him, and exclaims in regret that he used the power. The Castle Grayskull had fed through Adam, and now grew stronger. This is a universe where Castle Grayskull seems to be a force of darkness, rather than a force of good. So whenever Adam uses it, he feeds the castle, and the darkness that surrounds it. The silliest universe. In the next universe, the art resembles old-timey cartoons, and is quite an unserious world. The high peak of Avion witnesses Skeletor's win against the warrior goddess Tila, her unicorn, Man-at-Arms, and Stratos. The warrior goddess loses hope, as he now has both the halves of the power sword, and the wisdom of the fortress was at risk. The goddess of Grayskull, who was dressed in snake-themed garments and accessories, tells Tila that the Great Wars had left behind a ton of awesome weapons, and all she needed was a worthy champion. In the village of the Stone People, a moron with muscles whiles away his time. When an old man asks him to dump the wastes of the village beyond the field, he tries to think of an excuse, but fails. Begrudgingly, he picks up the wastes and wonders if anyone had to do these menial tasks before the stupid Great Wars that started because wizards and scientists decided to blow each other up. As he goes beyond the village, a tiger that resembles Cringer hears him whine about the luxury Eternians lived in, spending their days on cushioned thrones and controlling gladiators who battled for them. The tiger attacks him, wanting to make a decent meal out of the well-muscled man. The strong man deserts the pots of waste and runs for his life. The chase ends abruptly, thanks to a cliff, and both man and tiger topple over each other right into the stomach of a great purple beast. The shaggy beast dies, most probably from shock, and the goddess who sees the defeated creature assumes the man and the tiger fought him intentionally. She asks for his name, and he replies, He-Man, as they were the two words his villages used to describe him. Considering him a legendary hero, she gives him the garment of strength, the battle axe, the shield, and the battering ram. She mistakes the tiger for his companion and gives him a war saddle. Despite wanting to make a hot dog out of He-Man, Cringer wears the saddle. The goddess offers more wondrous devices once he battles and defeats Skeletor. So, He-Man and his new friend ride to Grayskull, where the battle is already raging, with Skeletor and his new allies Panther and Merman. He freezes Tila in place, and is about to enter Castle Grayskull when He-Man arrives. Skeletor destroys all his new gadgets, pushing He-Man to beg the goddess for more. She complies, giving him the Wind Raider, an assault lander, but Skeletor destroys that too in seconds. This goes on for a while as Skeletor demolishes every single one of the goddess's gifts, from the Mystic Chariot of Point Dread, the Talon Fighter, to the unstoppable battle machine, the Attack Track. Even the Stilt Stalker, a pair of high stilts with guns attached, are destroyed. Eventually, the only thing left is the Playbox, a PlayStation-like setup, and Munchors, a crate of greasy artificial foodstuff. As He-Man looks at it with delight, Skeletor recognizes it as an artifact from his dimension and recognizes Master Combat, a game he likes. He asks He-Man to join him for a game in the castle as it has a big screen. Before he joins Skeletor, He-Man gives all the Munchors to the tiger and the two enjoy a game inside the castle. Teela retrieves the power sword that Skeletor had forgotten outside and returns it to the goddess. Having seen two universes, the Sorceress turns to Zodak and tells him that despite their unique circumstances, the men had remained heroic. Zodak is not easily convinced and sits down to see more. The Sorceress promises to show him compelling evidence that Grayskull's champion would never be corrupted enough to tip the balance of the universe. A Thief in a Ship. The universe we see is set in Japanese mythos. On a ship, Prince Adam writes his journal of the journey so far. He notes that his ship, Dreadnought Marlena Glen, had traveled farther than any ship in the Eternos Armada under orders from his father, King Randor of the Kingdom of Eternos. He observes the Ningyo, mythical Japanese fishfolk, leap around the ship and remembers his mission to retrieve a powerful and legendary artifact believed to be in the hermit nation of Gretori. King Randor had found out about this artifact from his brother, Vizier Keldor, who had called it the Power Sword. Captain Duncan calls the prince, but Adam wants to be called the general on the ship. Duncan corrects his address and tells him that they have now ventured past the limits of maps and navigational tools, and he has no idea where to set their sails to. Adam thanks the captain and approaches their guide, Jitsu, a thief who was made to wear a heavy iron glove as punishment and is chained to the floor. Jitsu snidely remarks that he would salute the prince, but his hand was not trusted. Adam asks him not to make him regret rescuing Jitsu from the depths of Point Dread prison. The thief smirks and asks whether the Ningyo were still leaping around. Adam admits that they had turned away from the ship. With a grave smile, he confirms that it was a sign of the approaching Isle of Grayskull. Suddenly, the ship trembles, and both Adam and Jitsu are knocked off their feet. Adam thinks they hit land, but Jitsu knows that it was the Nagawani, the great guardian of the isle who resembled a dragon. Nagawani's attack floods the ship with water. Noticing Jitsu's lack of surprise, Adam asks if he knew what would happen. Jitsu admits to knowing the legends and remarks that the quest was doomed right from the beginning. He asks Adam to leave his corpse to the sea that touched the shores of his homeland. Adam refuses to desert him and breaks his chains with his axe. The ship is lost to the sea, but Adam drags Jitsu's unconscious body onto the land. He asks what he did to deserve the iron glove fused to his wrist. As he looked around the land, he realizes he has reached his destination, the Isle of Grayskull. Jitsu points to a cavern on the isle and tells Adam that is where he'll find what his father seeks. He warns Adam that Nagawani would return for more as she had fed on new flesh. As Adam rushes into the cavern, we learn why Jitsu was punished. He was an explorer and longed to see the noble land of Eternia. So, he learned the tongue and the way everyone saluted. He even memorized the history of the place, learning about the great wars and the heroes, and traveled over the dark waters for weeks to reach it. Unfortunately, he was not welcome. He was accused of being a spy and a practitioner of dark magic and stripped of everything he had. He was hungry, alone, and afraid, and in that state, had dared to steal an apple. In the palace of Eternos, the king promotes Lieutenant Teela to the position of her father. He declares war on Gretori for sinking his beloved ship and killing his son and Teela's father. I don't understand why losing a ship takes precedence over losing your son, but hey, you do you, King Randor. In that moment, Adam arrives with a spectacular explosion, having faced a test of his nature to be granted the fabulous secret powers of the Power Sword. With the sword, he had also received the power to see through his uncle's guise of a good person and toppled him onto the floor. He declares that Eternos would not conquer anyone anymore. Even without Adam, in a Noir-esque universe, Duncan works as a private investigator with Miss Powers, or, as she is more prominently known, Evil Lynn, who serves as his assistant and consultant in occult and arcane. He asks Orko what made him come down from the royal palace, and Orko has an answer that only Orko could give. He had lost King Randor. The mention of King Randor takes Duncan back to why he is now a private investigator. He had been Randor's friend since childhood and served in the palace guard together. Once he became king, he had made Duncan his royal weapons master. Even friends keep secrets though, and Duncan had hidden the fact that Randor's son, Prince Adam, was He-Man. When He-Man disappeared while fighting Skeletor, The heartbroken king had dismissed Duncan, and his daughter Tila had turned her back towards him as she felt betrayed as well. He had lost his name, friends, and position, but he had gained an unlikely friendship with Evelyn, as she too had lost Skeletor and didn't know what to do. Backstory over. Duncan agrees to take the case for 1,000 gold Krugers. Orko had offered to show the king a magic trick to cheer him up, but the trick had turned the lights off in the castle. When the lights came back once again, Randor was gone. Orko hastily replaced him with a clone to make sure the queen didn't notice, but like all of Orko's spells, the clone was imperfect and meowed instead of speaking. Lyn and Duncan examine the throne room and find a bright orange strand of hair. Lyn recognizes the hair as belonging to Beastman and suggests checking out Cronus's pub, a place on the edge of the tar swamp where every minion and servant of Skeletor hung out as they no longer had Snake Mountain. Lyn and Duncan are not welcomed in the pub, as Duncan was scum for being a Ternosian while Lyn was hated for being a traitor. Duncan demands to see Beastman, but is met with a barrage of drunk henchmen attacking him. He manages to defeat them all with the help of Lyn, and Trapjaw, the barkeep, tells them that Beastman is in the tar swamp. The two trudge along to the swamp, with Lyn complaining about how Skeletor would have never brought her to such a disgusting place, and Duncan asking her to leave if she had an issue. The fog in the tar pit reminds Duncan about the Dwell of Delusions, a cursed place where he had been trapped with Adam. He realizes that the fog was the same, as it was creating hallucinations and messing with his memory. Nearby, he notices Beastman, completely lost to the world. He thinks about how wonderful it would be to forget the present day and think only of the happier past, when he was with the people he loved. But he has a job to do, and quickly abandons the thought. He gives the antidote to Beastman and asks him to tell him where the king is. Beastman has no idea as he struggles to find his words. Both of them fall through an unhinged door, an interspatial portal created from the overuse of teleportation gates. If he was still man-at-arms, Duncan would have considered investigating them, as they were a potential environmental hazard, but now he didn't care. The door led them straight into the palace, and Duncan quickly put two and two together. A door had been opened in the Dwell that had led to the tar swamp, and another had opened in the tar swamp that led to the palace. The fog had spread from the Dwell to the palace and had made Orko forget the spell he cast. The clone in the palace was King Randor himself. Orko pays Duncan, and back in their office, Lyn happily remarks that they could keep the lights on for one more day. Duncan, with all his wit, finds it fishy that two portals had lined up so well and asks if Lyn knows anything about them. Lyn smiles slyly and remarks that she is just an assistant. Before leaving, Lyn comments that she likes seeing Duncan work. With no He-Man and Castle Grayskull, Duncan doesn't have much to do and participates in this game with Lyn. It helps both of them from slipping away into the past. With two more universes, the Sorceress asks if Zodak is convinced. Zodak remarks that Adam would wield the power for good and share it with others, only in an ordered and kind universe. But that is a rarity. The universe is harsh and chaotic and destroys pure souls. To make sure Adam was ready for the power, Zodak decides to start an experiment and make him suffer. As a response, the Sorceress strikes him with a powerful magical blast, reminding him that she is the guardian of the Castle Grayskull and Adam is under her protection. Zodak doesn't back off and tries to shoot her. She decides to teach him a lesson and throws him into the multiverse so that he learns compassion like all of her champions. Adam the Savage. Tila's unicorn charger takes a sip in the river, unaware of the black liquid seeping towards it. Tila pulls the steed away, recognizing it to be a new form of death. As she aims her gun at it to take it out, she hears a loud cry of pain. She turns around to see the stone people hunting Beastman, who is away from the rest of the 7 savage tribes. She figures the warriors surrounding him wanted to blame him for their failed crops and sacrifice him. She thinks of leaving him, but the voices of the ancestral champions possessing her body begin to whisper, and she feels a sudden kinship with the Beastman. They are both alone and unique. Led by the wisdom of Vina, who tells her to wait till the moon was over the Black Sea and the lithe steps of Kugra that allowed her to make her way past the pet tigers of the stone people, Tila makes her way to the Beastman, where he was tied around a tree with failed crops surrounding him. Tila tells the Beastman that she is going to save him, but Beastman tells her that her whispers won't help her there. Suddenly, she is attacked by He-Man. He-Man claims that she is an evil force of Eternia as she was possessed by the ghosts of dead women. The two fight valiantly as He-Man introduces himself as the Champion of Stone, fighting for everlasting peace. In an effort to win, Tila headbutts him and knocks him out. The voices inside her tell her to kill He-Man while he is still a boy, as he has potential to become the most powerful man in the universe. Teela aims her gun at the unconscious body of He-Man, but Beastman stops her. He-Man wakes up soon, and Beastman tells both of them about the things he learned. Beastman tells her that in his search for the truth, he had made powerful allies and learned about the future. He had witnessed the spirit of Eternia being leached away by black poison from an alien land. Beastman draws a magical circle around the two that shows Teela and He-Man the evil horde. So the Beastman asks for their allyship, as the three of them are all that stand between the evil horde and Eternia. Understanding that defeat in the hands of the horde was the ultimate death, Teela agrees. The three heroes and Charger walk into the sunset with hope. It's a pirate's life for me. He-Man was once the favorite son of Chieftain Randor the Red, but now he is the shame of the Eternal Realms. Stripped of his family name, he roams the seas with Ram Man, a dwarven battle charger, and last of the Stone Skulls, Many-Faces, an actor who gave his soul to a trickster god and now had no control over the character he was, and Stratos, an exiled avian. They call themselves the Masters of the Universe, and their ship is currently bent and broken after striking the Isle of Grey Skulls. Ram Man recognizes the isle to be haunted, but He-Man ignores them in hopes of finding a mead hall. The Masters follow the sound of steel on steel, battling wolves along the way, and in a cavern find the source of the sound. Ram Man hesitates to go further, thinking they had walked into the residence of Dark Wolves, but He-Man goes on, knowing Dark Elves brew beer too. They see Trapjaw and Skeletor, shaping a sword made from the chaos of Ginnungagap. Nearby, a Tide Sorceress tells Skeletor that he will fail, but Skeletor tells her that, just like the sword which was once an impervious metal, she too would become a tool of destruction. Stratos and Ram Man are moved by the sorceress's pitiful fate and want to free her, but He-Man refuses. He tells them that as explorers, their job was to replace what the gods stole from them, and the woman was not their responsibility. They all follow him out, and He-Man downs the wineskin Ram Man had been hiding behind his plate armor. The liquid numbs the memory of the terrified beauty in He-Man's head, and he goes to sleep. When he wakes up, he sees the wrecked bodies of his companions. Stratos, with his last breath, tells He-Man that after he had gone to sleep, the others could not let the woman suffer and had gone to rescue her. The demon had made small work of them and killed them all. With the anger of avenging the Masters of the Universe, He-Man walked back into the cavern. The last time he had been this angry was when an arrogant chieftain had laid his unwelcome hands on a shield woman named Teela. That anger had cost his father years of diplomacy. That same anger pushes He-Man to fight Skeletor now. He sees only darkness and hears his blood pounding in his ears. He-Man's axe clings against Skeletor's sword. When Skeletor reminds him that if he had joined his friends in their quest, they might have been alive, He-Man is reinvigorated. He grabs the sword by the blade and swings Skeletor into the fire burning nearby. As Skeletor burns, the sorceress is freed. She tells him that she is just a manifestation of Eternia, and by getting rid of him, He-Man had freed her. She entrusts the sword to He-Man, asking him to contain its terrible power. He-Man walks out, hoping to one day hear nothing when he sees the darkness again. Having seen enough of more realms, Zodak tumbles out. He realizes that he doesn't need to make Adam suffer to know that even in realms plagued with war and death, He-Man prevails. The sorceress then decides to treat him to hope by showing a universe where He-Man inspires hero. The first one she shows is a relatively younger Eternia. Are they villains? Zodak is confused as to why the sorceress is showing him a universe where her young heroes are looting Eternos, but continues to watch. The guards in King Randor's place ask him if they are allowed to take the Masters of the Universe down, but Randor asks them to stay back, as there must be a misunderstanding. Randor is right on the money, as the real Masters of the Universe are in Castle Grayskull, wondering what to do with the imposters who were spreading chaos in the kingdom. Man-at-Arms is only concerned whether his armor makes his butt look big, while Orko decides the imposters don't have an Orko as he is too fierce to fabricate. The sorceress suggests standing back to find out the true motive of the imposters, but Adam refuses to let his father believe a family member is corrupted again by power, as Randor had already suffered because of his brother Keldor's downfall. Adam calls for the power of Grayskull and attacks the intruders with the real Masters of the Universe. The fight is anything but a cakewalk, as the intruders are matched strength-wise and seem to be thinking exactly like their opponents. Even surprise attacks are intercepted easily, and the sorceress realizes that the magic used in the intruders is Havoc. Adam obviously knows that Skeletor is involved in the whole ordeal, but the Sorceress gives him some extra info. After failing a coup attempt, Trapjaw tried to prove himself to Skeletor by creating simulacrums of the Masters of the Universe, and Evil Lyn had imbued them with havoc to mimic the real Masters. Hearing that, Adam comes up with a bright plan. If the havoc magic was mimicking them, it probably also knows about their personal fears and doubts. So, if they access their technology, they could find the fears and unleash them, causing the androids to self-destruct. They send Orko to do the deed, and boy is he successful. As soon as the hidden data is released, Cringer tells Adam off for being too cocky, while Adam tells Cringer that he thinks of himself to be wiser than he is. The fights start between the others too, and soon the androids self-destruct. As the Masters of the Universe wrap up, King Randor retires to his chambers, glad that he knows his son well. The He-Force. He-Soul is called to defend the Eternal Grayskull while he is in the middle of a battle against Grayskull. Tila and Duncan offer to take care of things there, and He-Soul jumps into a portal that takes him to Eternal Grayskull, where the He-Force is busy defending King He-Man against a lot of foes. He-Soul tries to get an explanation out of his teammate Hyra, but she's too busy for that and asks him to start taking the red-hued attackers down. Roboto asks the king to leave, but he refuses, as he doesn't want to leave them all to Roboto. Blast Attack asks him to stuff his high and mighty heroics and leave. Another teammate seems to agree, asking He-Man to attack the source. Overwhelmed and not understanding anything, He-Soul follows his team to the Eternia in Universe Prime -17328. While the rest of the team attack a fire-breathing monster, Cringer pulls He-Soul aside to fill him in. It had all started with Galen Nycroft, a scientist who thought he would function well with 2 brains. The mad scientist had worked with villains like Skeletor and Hordak, but in reality, he was just using them as resources. Eventually, he had given himself a whole new body with multiple heads and arms to accommodate his new brain, and became Modulok. His goal was to collect all of his minds across the bioetheric field and become a fractal intellect. I can't even manage one brain, how's this guy yearning for more? Anyway, their conversation is interrupted by a red-colored Hordak, aiming a gun at them and begging them to kill him as he doesn't want to serve any longer. Cringer kicks him away like a disobedient puppy come football, and continues. Since Modulok had way too much brain power, he decided to offload it. He did that by spreading his genes to every living thing in the world. The creatures under his infection turned red and were forced to obey him. These creatures had all teamed up together to become the Mega Beast, a creature left behind by Galen's mind to guard it while he searched for the secrets of the universe. King He-Man has a plan to defeat Modulok. He asks for all the power he had shared to be returned to him, as he wanted to show Modulok that the power of Grayskull, aka the secrets of the universe, is too much for one man. The Sorceress turns to Zodak to ask his thoughts, but their conversation is interrupted by Modulok jumping into their world. He wants to destroy Grayskull as he has seen the power within it, thanks to He-Man, and has decided that such power should not exist. He-Soul and Cringer follow him to the universe and strike him down. Zodak tells the Sorceress, now in the presence of Cringer, He-Man, and He-Soul, that while the universe is cruel and uncaring, it is now clear to him that in every version of Adam, he is the opposite of the universe. While the universe takes, Adam gives. He lets the Adam of that universe keep the power, as he's sure that he would conquer Skeletor's evil with an absolute force of good. This is one comic you really should read. The art is fantastic, with the work of E.J. Su, Daniel Pez Lopez, Eddie Nunez, and more. I'm sure everyone will be able to find at least one art style they absolutely love in this series. For me, the Noir style was the highlight of the series, with the video game style of the imposter storyline being a close second. What art style did you like, and what story arc stole your heart? I love the He-Force storyline, as I don't think we see enough of the He-Force. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you liked the video, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. I'll be back soon with more awesome stuff, but until then, hope the power of Grayskull protects you all.